Everyone, it's Coach Velia. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties, so I'm hoping that the kinks were worked out. I'm so excited to be here today with you, talking about our first responders. I know it's such a broad subject, but yet it really isn't. We sometimes think that a lot of first responders, although they have gone through special training and they've talked to people, that somehow they have this, I don't know, they're blocked from receiving trauma and they're still going to perform. Oh, they must have trained them for it. They must have equipped them for it. Training, I know, is amazing. They have a bunch of resources. They have therapists, they have psychologists, they have, mentors, and they have continued training. But their brains are still the same. Their brains are still receiving a lot of stimulus from their outside world, or rescues. There's so many things that go on behind the scene that we don't know about. So first, I want to start off this video by thanking each and every one of you guys that are out there every day fighting the good fight, protecting, taking care of us, receiving those phone calls, and trying to keep all of us safe. With that comes a whole lot of experiences that I know many of them wish to have not experienced. And although experiences do make us who we are, we know now through heart healing energy, the different genetic dealings and trauma healing and generational things, that we can heal a lot of that trauma. So I love being able to speak to other psychologists and therapists that are in the field trying to help them. And in speaking with first responders, many times they say that they don't really like to go talk to people about their problems. Many times they know that, therapists mean well and they want to help, but what are they going to understand? I'd rather just keep it to myself. And a lot of them do disclose at times that they don't share it out even with their wives or their husbands because they don't want them to worry about them. But in themselves, there's a lot of pressure as well to say, well, I'm a firefighter, I should be used to this, or I'm a police officer, I do this every day. It doesn't mean that they're immune from receiving the side effects of seeing all these experiences. So I want to bust a whole bunch of myths today in the Q&A. If you guys have any questions, if you have any comments, please feel free to put them on here. I will answer as many as I can. Also ask questions if I don't know the answers to them. We'll find them together. But I want to bring awareness to the fact that there are very high suicide rates amongst our first responders, and many of them aren't out there. So during this week, I've kind of posted a couple of clips, YouTube videos that share a little more about the statistics in suicide with our first responders. Many of them feel that they should be able to bear a lot of things that happen, and they're constantly seeing the things that happen. So a lot of them are undiagnosed PTSD. They have trauma. Again, what I mean about undiagnosed is they haven't had an official diagnosis given to them, because many of them won't go seek help. They'd rather talk to their partners and they kind of just comfort each other. Well, yeah, this happened, whatever. A few years ago, actually, there was a fire by my house, and I actually saw a firefighter have an episode, what we call a PTSD episode. So they were up on top of the roof, and I don't know why I happened to be there, but they were putting out the fire on top of this roof. And all of a sudden, this firefighter just collapsed to his knees, and he had his hand on his head. And for me, it was a privilege to watch. It wasn't even like it's a great thing, but for me to be able to have this awareness was amazing. So another firefighter, his buddy, came and kind of just put his hand on his shoulder. He put his head on his head and just shook him, like, we're here, buddy. And that was the most amazing thing to watch. I see that with police officers all the times, that they've had to shoot somebody or something they had to do to protect somebody else. A lot of soldiers who've been out and they've had to kill certain people, or they had to experience other things to save a group of people. So they don't like to talk about it. So I've noticed that in my training, I've actually gone off and learned more training, do heart-centered energy healing. There's a whole bunch of different healings that I've been able to learn, train, and be equipped in, where people don't have to tell me their content. So you don't have to tell me I did this, whatever. The heart healing we do is zero content. So basically, you could think about your worst memory ever, and yes, I have you relive it for a few minutes, and then we do a heart activation healing. And what this heart activation healing does is basically your heart's a lot more powerful than your brain, and what it does is allows you to relive this memory. It allows you to discharge the negative emotion that's associated with this memory. And in turn, what it does is it actually neutralizes a memory for you. So say somebody had an incident, and what's really interesting is that these firefighters or first responders, 911 dispatchers, they don't give me any content when we talk about it, because it's between them and their heart, and they have to experience what they're feeling on their own. But I equip them to be able to heal things on their own as well, so they won't need me to constantly be healing a bunch of things. So what I do through these sessions is activate your heart's energy and teach you how to heal those memories on your own, learning to understand your own healing energy. Yes, we all have it and we are all capable of it, but we do need to activate it. So this is kind of the healing that I'm offering to those of you who are first responders. I know that it's not just them, it's the families, it's the friends, because many times they won't seek help because they won't go for the traditional therapy. And they've tried, and therapists are there to help. And this is what kind of pushed me to continue to train in different things. And sometimes it sounds strange, like, well, what exactly are you? Well, I'm a therapist, I'm a life coach, I'm a leadership enhancer. Like, there's so many, titles or labels that I have, but in the end, I'm a healer. I help people heal themselves. So that's kind of the, a broad label for everything that I do, but that's what it is. So this healing is something that each and every one of you are capable of doing, but we will work off of awareness, right? What we know. I want to explain a little bit about PTSD, trauma, and things of that nature before we get started into the Q&A, because I do have quite a few questions. So basically, when your eyes see something, when you see something, it's automatically recorded in your mind. So say, for example, I had a soldier who came, and for 30 years, he was a veteran. He said for 30 years, he kept waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning because it was this constant memory that came that he had to hurt somebody to save other people. So he said for 30 years, he kept waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and he saw it all the time. And I said, well, I would love to offer a healing for you. And he was so cute. How old was he? He was in his 70s. And he said, oh, sweetheart, thank you so much. But I don't think that, telling my heart it's okay is going to fix it. I said, well, I would love to try anyway. So 45 seconds later, we activate his heart energy. He holds it. We don't talk about any content. He told me afterwards. But 45 seconds later, he said he'd close his eyes and think about the memory, and it no longer had that negative emotion anymore. So I said, okay. He thought maybe it was a fluke. It's going to come back. I said, it's not Tylenol. We don't have to do this every 4 hours. And lo and behold, he called me the next day. He said, it's still clear. So then he sends me one of his buddies, also in his 70s. And he's lived through so many different deployments. And he was a pilot. And we came, and he's like, honey, I've had 200 and some deployments. I forgot what he called it because I didn't speak that language. And I said, you know what? Hold on to them and we'll heal them together. Didn't give me any content. I don't know what we cleared, but I know that he sleeps better. I know that he's not thinking about those things anymore. So the healing does work one memory at a time, but I also do different healings that helps you clear from the time you were in your mother's womb, because we do absorb other people's energies. So a regular person, right, has their own trauma, generational stuff that you inherit from your family, cultural beliefs, all that good stuff, and you learn to live it. So we're kind of programmed to think that life has to be difficult and you have to just talk about it and it'll get better with time. And that's a common myth, because things don't get better with time if you're not doing anything about it. Right? So it's just like grief and loss. A lot of these individuals are grieving because they've lost their confidence, their independence, or whatever, and they still have to, I've had officers that go and they have to rescue a baby and they weren't able to rescue that baby. And then, 5-10 minutes later, they give them some time to breathe and they offer them all this stuff. It's okay. You don't have to go back. But they themselves think, I have to go back out there. I can't do anything about it. So they don't really give themselves time to grieve. And if they do, they haven't healed it before jumping into the next one. So they go home, they have their families, they have their kids, they're thinking about the things that can happen because they're exposed to so many things. So a lot of times they really don't give themselves permission to heal, nor do they even know how. So I really wanted to come on here and let you guys know there is a way to help heal. There is no need to give content of everything you've seen. I have friends who also have husbands who are police officers and have also experienced a lot of trauma in their lives. My husband, it's so funny, he just showed me a text message where he was reaching out to the chief of police about having me come in and do a training, free of charge, come and do a training for their first responders. And their response was like, thank you, we have psychologists on site, And I'm like, it's just not for us right now. It's okay. But I don't think that the healing that's taking place right now in the world, because things are changing, has gotten enough recognition, because we're trained to believe that things have to be hard, and they really don't have to be. And once you've experienced healing at its core, healing at its root, and know that you have the energy and the ability to do it, then you start looking at life very differently. So I felt a very huge tug in my heart to come in and out here and let you guys know that if you are a first responder, if you have friends, family, if you have somebody in the field who would want to try this particular healing, it is 100% guaranteed that we can neutralize a lot of your negative memories, if not all, both conscious and subconscious. And I can get into detail. I want to have a workshop where I'm offering something for first responders to come as a group. You can bring friends, you could bring family. You don't have to come by yourself. You don't know who I am. You don't want to come talk to a stranger, but I encourage people to watch my videos, get a feel for who I am, what I'm about, read my energy and see what my intentions are. My heart is just full of gratitude for these people that are putting themselves out there and really trying to live the best lives they can. They actually had a heart of service. So there's so much ugliness in the news right now about cops and they're this and they're that, but they're not putting on the news about the officers that are losing their lives, about the things that are happening, how they're protecting, how they jump out there thinking they're going to change the world, and then the world comes and it's totally different than what they thought. So I really want you guys to have a lot more love and compassion and really try to understand these people that are going out there every day and just trying to make our lives better. And yes, they're not perfect. And yes, some people aren't very nice, but we shouldn't write everybody off for that. So I just want you to know that just because they're first responders and they've had this training, it doesn't mean that they're immune to the effects of it. Now, most of them that have taken their lives, later on they report, yes, they couldn't talk to anybody. They felt, nobody would understand. They felt that they were weak. What's the point? And because they can't get those memories out of their head, they end up taking their own lives. And, it hurts family, hurts friends. And many of the family and friends feel so much guilt because they're thinking, why didn't we know? Why didn't they say anything? How are we supposed to pick up the signs? Well, a lot of them feel they're weak if they share, or if they even say they're being affected by it. I know it's when you think about it as a whole, like, why didn't they say anything? There's so much stigma around mental health and how they're supposed to be because they're first responders that they tend to live up to that, unfortunately, so much so even taking their lives. There are 22 soldiers taking their lives every single day. And that's not accounting for first responders. There are more officers and firefighters that lose their lives to suicide than being on duty. So that's nothing that's publicized and given, but think about the magnitude of that. We see how many deaths are in, first responders, firefighters, police officers, correction officers as well. I don't ever want to forget about the correction officers because they're seeing and doing things to try to keep order in the prisons. But a lot of them do also suffer from PTSD because of the things they've been experiencing and they've been exposed to. And, especially in men, oh, you're tough, you're a guy, just keep going. And guys, thank you so much. Because just because they're guys, it doesn't mean they don't feel the way women feel. Okay. So next time you see a guy, just hug him and thank them for their service, because I don't think they're recognized enough. And yes, they get paid and all that good stuff, but there's something about a human contact, just saying thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much for what you do. And hey, you know what? I'm going to keep you in my prayers. I'm going to send you love. I'm going to send you good thoughts. I'm going to hold space for you. I'm going to cover you in light. Something. They need to be encouraged. And they also need to know it's okay to not be perfect, and it's okay to fail, and it's okay to go out there and obtain healing. If you go out and see a therapist and you don't like them, go find another one, right? Like, I've had people come and they've experienced, and it doesn't matter just because somebody has a label or profession. It doesn't mean they're a right fit for you. It doesn't mean there isn't anybody out there that can understand you and that you can relate to. And maybe things can't be undone or deleted, but you can also equip yourself to handle life with less on your plate, because what they do is every day there's more and more on their plate. And yes, you get a day off, but that's the day you have to, fix a sink or spend time with your daughter. And remember, these first responders are mom, dads, brothers, sisters, mom and dads, uncles and aunts. So there's something else other than the label that they carry. And I think that if we had more compassion, is what I feel, more compassion, saying hello, thank you, officer, good morning. Like, if we could just spread more compassion, you guys, I think that would also allow them to have more compassion for themselves. But you know how sometimes we have to see things on the outside before we can look on the inside? So that was kind of my biggest spiel and intro to my to my Q&A today. But a lot of that answered a lot of the questions that were being asked about, like, yeah, it's so sad, but they signed up for it, like they should have expected. Nobody knows what to expect. I know when I was going to school, like, I thought it was going to be like this, but it's not like the books and it's not like school. There's nothing like real world experience. And by then you're like, holy crap. But you learn to what? You go out, you train. But if they don't feel like they can talk to somebody, or that it's okay to feel the way that they're feeling, this is where the suicides come in. And there's so many more, and every year they're increasing. There's a massive amount of attention being given to the veterans right now, the soldiers, but not much is being done. And we can wait on our governments to do something. We can wait on special projects to do something. The VA doesn't have to do everything. Why can't we, as civilians, right, as grateful people for our freedom, go out and thank these people on a daily basis, right? When was the last time you said hello to an officer and said thank you for the work that you do, or I wish that I'm sending you, wishes of safety, or whatever it is, right? So I just want to encourage that today. For those of you who are watching, I'm hoping you're going to share this video to kind of put it out there. I would love for us to get a better understanding of the things that these individuals go to, because they're normal people just like us, but they just happen to sign up for a life that may, give them a little more trauma than they signed up for. So all those things I say because I really want to bring awareness to this. I've had many people tell me, well, if they have therapists online, if they have psychologists there, like, why don't they go see them? They just don't feel comfortable. Number one, many don't feel comfortable. Many think they're going to put them on medication, and they've heard a lot of things about that. There are also very holistic and natural things that you can do for your body to help it heal and restore its health. So a lot of people have not really gone out because the information is limited, or, oh, it can't work, or whatever. What's the worst that can happen? You try it and it doesn't work, right? But there are many things you can do. They did ask me where I am and where I'm located. I am in Victorville, California. Doesn't matter. I travel all the time. I go to different cities. I go to different states. I do training everywhere. So if you are someone who would like to hear more about this, I encourage you guys to reach out to me. There's more about me on my website, coachvelia.com. Again, you can see some videos here on my Facebook page. And let's just chat. We can talk. It doesn't cost anything but some of our time. But I know I can bring change to you, to the individual who's watching, to the families, to the Department of First Responders. Looking forward to spending some time with the 911 dispatchers in the city of LA. I have been invited to come help a lot of their dispatchers because they hear a whole bunch of stuff too. I remember when I was younger, I had the privilege to go sit and listen to a 911 dispatcher, and someone screaming on the other line like, oh my God, and I freaked out just listening to the voice. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't do this, right? I just went to go hang out with my sister, and the energy in the room was just so tense, but they're trained to just calm down, take the call, and the next call, because they get really busy. And I'm looking at them like, oh my gosh, like they have to go on to the next call. Don't know what happened. Don't know if the person's safe. I was there when somebody called and said, I'm going to kill myself. Like, there was so much intensity in that phone call. And this person is trained to just be professional and handle themselves. But I know, because of things that they hear, your brain, your subconscious mind does not know when something is real or not real. This is why you can see something in a movie and it's scary and it's fake, but it already made an impression in your brain. So every time you think about it, your body thinks it's happening all over again. So this is how PTSD works. So say somebody had a horrible experience, and now every time they think about that memory, their body feels it comes up automatically. You could be shopping, doing something, and then all of a sudden that memory comes up. Well, what happens? The brain doesn't know if it's happening right now or if it already happened, but because it thinks about it, it's happening right here, right now. So then the emotions, it's like you're reliving it all over again. So somebody who has PTSD, it just gets triggered. They could be at the store, they could be at the, watching with the kid, swimming with their kids. This is why, like 4th of July, fireworks, soldiers who've been in wars and things of that nature, they hear fireworks. Yes, it's 4th of July, they're fireworks, but their brain doesn't know that. All they hear is something similar to what happened when they were suffering or they were scared or whatever. So they're constantly reliving these traumas, even though it happened. I don't care if it was 1 year ago. Look at my little veteran, 70 years old. They were in the war when they were 19, 20 or whatever. And they're talking about all these things like it just happened 5 minutes ago. So a lot of them try not to relive it, but it just kind of comes in. And I always like to describe it as a record, right? So you have this record, for those of you that are younger aren't going to get it, CDs, whatever, but this record is playing and it's playing a beautiful song. And if the records had been scratched, say with a negative memory, every time it comes back to that part of the song and the scratch is there, it's like, whoop, and guess what happens? It's like they're reliving it all over again. So with these techniques, we literally buff out the scrapes. We buff out all the scratches. So when the music's playing and it comes to something that reminds them of their trauma, it's already been neutralized. The heart has already told the brain it's okay, you don't have to freak out anymore. We've already healed that. We've already taken care of that. So it buffs it out where you can constantly do what you got to do. Many times memories like this keep people stuck, keep people feeling worthless, thinking they should get over it by now. It's been so many years. And there's a lot of beat up that comes with this particular type of trauma. And I'm here to say it's not even your fault. And you can definitely take care of it. And you don't have to give everybody content. And you don't have to always talk about it or think about it, because when you activate your heart's energy, it actually comes and you do the work for yourself. You restore that part of the record that's been scratched, or now you have a memory, but there's no more negative attachment to it. What I find when people begin to heal, whether it's, traumas, working as first responders, or sexual trauma, abuse, all these things, they go and they get help and they feel like stuck, like they're never going to be able to do anything. The beautiful thing about healing is once you start healing, you start taking away all these things that you're not, because you are not your trauma. You are not your negative experiences. You are not any of those things. You are who you are, and these things that have happened in your life has somehow given you a detour and thinking, maybe this is what maybe this is who I am. They get you thinking into these limiting beliefs that are not true. But you won't know that unless somebody comes along and teaches you that you can get rid of all the things that are not you and really get to the core of who you are, heal who you are, and all of a sudden those things just don't define you anymore, and you become unstuck. And when you continue to work with somebody and continue to clear those things that are not you, you learn to really understand who you really are, your own identity, your own purpose, your own walk. And yes, all those things shape us, but they don't have to be what keep us stuck and what keep us having these limiting beliefs and continue to make us think like we're not made for something better. So I want to extend that to you guys. I am offering free healing sessions, no strings attached. I really want you guys to come and see me and talk to me or call me, and just meet me. Just come hang out with me. We can do groups, we can do individuals, it doesn't matter. From now to the end of August, I'm making myself available to you free of charge. I don't think people understand the volume of awareness that this needs, because there is another way. And I would hate for you guys to not be able to experience this, because I know and I've seen and I have testimonials and we have case studies and everything, and I just need to get this work out there. And I'm hoping that each and every one of you who are watching this video will be able to share it. It's going to touch somebody's hands and somebody's heart that needs to hear this message, because many times I meet people and they say, I've always prayed for somebody like you. I've always known something was possible. I always believed, and then boom, all of a sudden they land in my office. So I know that nobody comes to me by coincidence. I put myself out there. I send out love and intention, and I do always ask for people that are ready to heal and ready to move on to the next level of their lives, right? Now, there are some people that aren't ready to heal, and that's okay. Everybody has their own timing. But please don't let it be because you didn't share this video or didn't introduce somebody to it. And if you have friends, this happens a lot. Like I have a friend, who has this, can I bring him? I'm like, yeah, come and you bring your friend with you. So please reach out. Let me know. We'll schedule some time. I am clearing my calendar for the rest of August with a few appointments that I still have. I'm taking care of my clients, but I'm opening up space for first responders and their families, because I just feel like you guys just need to know. And then you guys can decide what you do. So a lot of the Q&A kind of covered in the conversation. I know there's many times people were like, why do they have to, kill themselves? We don't know unless we're in their minds. But because of how we've seen it play out and what happens, it comes down to people thinking they just can't take it anymore. And they never mean to hurt the people that they love and that they leave behind. But a lot of them feel like they're a burden to their family. Like, I'm always thinking about this. I'm always sad. Many of the homeless community, my husband has the privilege of working with the homeless community, and there's a lot of officers always there. They send in therapists, they clean up the homeless encampments, and there's always police officers there, because one just never knows. And a lot of these individuals have mental illnesses, right? So what they don't know, people don't know, is they kind of look at them like, ugh, they're homeless. They didn't choose to be homeless. And most people aren't even from here, from California. They come from other states. And when you talk to them, a lot of them, their families don't know where they are. But they know that if they stuck around with their families would worry about them, or they would be thinking other things. So a lot of them run away. A lot of them are very successful at one point. but their memories, their thoughts, and their traumas control their lives now. And that's why a lot of them cannot live in society, and they prefer to live on their own. But yet they want to be close to society because we all still need that human touch. We're all connected. So I just want to say hello and hope that this video has helped shed some light on the subject, and really encourage you guys to smile and to talk to your first responders, to just randomly thank them, and again, just to have compassion for them. You know, maybe we don't understand what they're going through, but we can understand the human of it, right? We can understand the need to feel appreciated, the need to feel like, you know, you're living your life on purpose, that you're being intentional. So I want to again shout out to all the first responders, their families. Thank you so much for being there for them, for supporting them. I've watched a couple of my friends and their first responder spouses get promotions and recognitions, and it's just been very heartwarming. And I hope that this is not a temporary thing, that we continue to go out there and strive to make this place a better world to live in, starting by connecting with, you know, other humans and showing more compassion. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I hope you'll share this video, share my information. If you know me, talk to people, let them know. I am available till the end of August and hoping to book up very quickly with free healing sessions. Thank you so much, everybody. Have an amazing day and a very powerful weekend. Don't forget to thank a first responder near you. Thanks so much. Bye.